And we're back. Welcome, listeners, to another episode of Record
Yo,
Revolutions. I'm Shahab Zagari,
I'm Anofre.
and it's nice to have
Thank
you.
you. Nice to see you. Question for you. Have you ever seen any documentaries that, like, they talk about an event or a person and it's through only stories? Like, they have no footage of whatever they're talking about.
I
You know?
have. I've seen a few.
Like, and are they.
Did you just see one? Is that why you're
No,
asking?
no, it's just like, is that even possible? How would you make that, like, entertaining? Right? Like, you know?
That's the big thing. Okay, and so there's a documentarian named Ken Burns,
10 minutes. Okay.
and the way he would do it
Yeah.
became it was so groundbreaking at the time that when you do it nowadays, they coin it like even so if you open up
Yeah.
iMovie on a Mac computer and you drop photos into the thing, it does what's called a Ken Burns effect.
Hmm.
Have you ever seen that before?
Yeah, that's what
Okay,
it
so
does.
that was named
After him?
after the guy, and basically he did a Civil War
Oh
documentary.
yeah,
It was like 10 hours long, and
yeah.
obviously there were no video
Just
cameras.
pictures.
You know what
Just
I
had
mean?
a crop load of pictures.
Just pictures and some cinema,
Yeah,
but like they weren't using
yeah,
that for news or, you know. And so he was taking photos, and by just zooming
yeah.
and like giving the appearance of movement, he made it interesting.
Sure.
And so that was kind of one way,
Wow.
you know.
Um,
Um,
what's that?
yeah, others do reenactments,
Yeah.
kind of like Drunk
Oh, okay.
History
That's
on the Comedy Central, you know.
yeah. I was gonna say I know like I took a jazz class once, and the
Yeah.
material for that was I think like Ken Burns on jazz or something, and so
Oh yeah, 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 dude. He's done
yeah,
so many. He's done jazz. He's done uh, man, like a lot of history kind of
yeah.
stuff.
Wow. Okay. That's cool. It can be done.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. There was also a very recent one, and I can't remember the name of it, but it's a documentary about George Orwell,
Oh
who
wow.
wrote
1984.
Animal Farm in
Yeah.
1984. Yep. And again, like no real
Yeah.
anything. And then they just took pages from his diary
Mm.
and read them,
Sure. Okay.
mixed with all kinds of
Yeah. Yeah.
footage, found footage, news footage, because a lot of the stuff he talked about was fairly political and was pretty much like a um, warning against fascism. And so coming up now,
Yeah. Nice.
but
Okay. I asked because uh, I had an idea in mind to do like a little
yeah,
like a documentary. I don't know if I'm gonna do like a 10-part series or whatever, but it's of a show that's gonna turn 30 this year. And the only reason I know about this show is I went to my first local show that I went here in Hawaii. It was an album release show for this one band, and
yeah,
back then there'd be like hidden notes, and my friend's like, "You gotta open the cover because there's this letter in there." I'm like, "What?" And so I look, and then at the hole in like a CD, like there's a drawing, an
yeah, yeah.
etch, and then you open the cover, and there's this letter, like talking about like the album is kind of like almost, I don't know, like a love letter to that one particular show. They call it an infamous show where there's like six bands playing, and it was raining, people pushing cars out in knee deep water, fights breaking out during just one show, right? And I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, so I've only read about it, and then um, just like last year, I had a guest on at the radio show. His name's Dave, and he's his band is the reason why I got into like local music here. And so I was like tripping out, like he's gonna be a guest on my show. So we're talking, and I asked him about this show, and he's like, "Yeah, that was my first. I booked that show." I was like, "You booked?" Because
Whoa.
he had a little record label called Wet Noodle, right? And so he would,
Mhm.
because I'd ask him out like, "Oh, what was number one?" Right? And the what
Yeah,
way
yeah,
he
yeah.
did things was like, if you wrote like a zine, that would be catalog number two. Like there was number four, and he said
Uh,
catalog number one was the show that they're talking about. And I was like, and then I made
wow.
like the connection. Like,
That's
this is really cool. And so I'm
insane.
like, man, I want to like do something about this. And then I'm asking people, and they're like, it was 30 years ago. I don't remember it anymore. I'm like, No.
Just like
Yeah.
exactly what we're doing on this
Yeah.
podcast. You know, like I'm trying to
Yeah.
remember.
I want to archive it. People need to know about it. It's like, okay. Yeah. But yeah, and I'm like, so far I've asked people around. They don't have no photos. Like the guy who put the show on doesn't have photos or video of it. He just booked it,
Huh.
right? And then the guys who talk about the show, like the hidden track that's related to the letter that they wrote, is their live set. So I have one complete set of the 6 bands that played. So I'm like, and then people are like pointing at other people, like, talk to him. He might have a recording of it. He might have video of it.
And so that was like a pretty good segue into today's wonderful episode, the 4 Deadly Questions EP. Ooh, you got one there.
Yeah.
Nice.
1 of 5. or 4.
You have 5?
I have several copies.
Man.
Yeah.
You know, at some point we're gonna have to just kind of look at your Discogs.com profile.
I know.
Do you have?
I do, but it's based.
Does it show how many you
of
have
all my
on this,
orders, but not like everything I
not of what you
of
have.
what I have right now. Yeah.
Because that's interesting. Yeah. So far, a lot of these you're like, oh, I have 4 of those. I have 5 of those. Awesome. So this EP actually came out of. You know, we've done episodes on 4-letter words, and they were kind of our connection to the whole Torrance, San Pedro, Recess Records crew. But you know, Toys That Kill, 4-letter words, you know, these bands, they would tour West Coast, they toured you know, nationally, and when they would go through New York, they would hit up a gentleman by the name of Matt Braun, and he was the one who would book the New York City shows. And, you know, again, he must have heard us through, you know, the Recess connection, or maybe people talked about us when they were on tour and they, you know, bunked with him in the evening or whatever. But somehow we came up and he approached us, just kind of solicited and said, hey, we've already recorded it. We just need a label to partner with to put out the album. And for one reason or another, you know, maybe Recess was inundated, you know, or they had their whole year planned out or whatever it was. And we were like, oh, yeah, awesome. Let's do it. And, yeah, so essentially they sent us a CD, and I think the CD had 6 or 7 tracks from that one recording, and 4 of them ended up on the vinyl. And you know, it's kind of a cross between like metal, you know, like breakneck speed metal, and just like grunge rock, like stuff that you would imagine coming out of like Washington.
It was more grungy and like abrasive, fuzzy kind of.
Abrasive, in your face. What I loved about it though was the male-female vocals of it all, and how it wasn't just one lead singer, and they would literally share the duties. And so it was easy. We're like, yeah, let's do it, kind of thing. From what I remember, I think I did mess up on what the band wanted as far as what the labels look like. That was on me. I apologized 1,000 times. There was something to do with red, or I can't remember at this moment, but I felt really embarrassed. And Matt and gang, I'm so sorry. I'm still so sorry. But what we'll do right now is we're gonna listen to the first track. This is Oral Fixation from 4 Deadly Questions.
You're full of profanity.
right, that was Oral Fixation, Four Deadly Questions.
Yeah.
Um,
What'd you think of that one? I mean, you've heard it.
yeah.
Obviously, you own 5 of these, but
Let me.
on
Yeah,
re-listen.
yeah. I like it. It is. I want to say like that's an East Coast sound for sure. Like New York side.
Oh my god, totally. Like especially like you know, late 90s, early 2000s, 100%. Um
One question for you:
yeah.
what are the four deadly questions? Like, do you know what that is reference to,
Hmm.
if anything?
You know what? I don't. But interestingly enough, just because of the name and how interesting it is, when this 7-inch was completed, which I can't remember how much longer after. Let me see. Let me see if I can look that up real quick. So we did Four Deadly Questions, and then yeah, 2 releases after this 7-inch. They wanted to work with us again. They're like, hey, we got a whole new
Hmm.
recording. What do we do? And so I proposed a split.
Oh yes,
Now,
yes.
at the time, I had friends who lived in New Mexico, and I'm gonna kind of let the cat out of the bag, but they were in this band called The Answer Lies, and they themselves, this is Chris Mason I'm talking about. He did not run a record label yet, but in the time since we did this split with Four Deadly Questions, Chris Mason has gone on to start Dirt Cult
Oh,
Records,
okay.
who releases all kinds of
Yeah.
amazing things, and I think has even exceeded the number of releases that even GC has done. So super proud of Chris
Nice.
and everything they do at Dirt Cult Records. But before any of the Dirt Cult record stuff happened, uh, I paired up his band, The Answer Lies, with Four Deadly Questions, so that it was a split where one band had questions in the title and the other band had answers in the title.
Nice.
They didn't necessarily match sonically, but both very raw, very angry,
Yeah.
kind of, rough around the edges punk, not bubblegum poppy
Yeah.
stuff, right? So I don't know what the Four Deadly Questions are, but let's maybe the answer lies within you. Just kidding. But we'll get to that. So that'll be 2 episodes from
Nice.
now, listeners. We'll listen to that split at that point in time. But yeah, these guys, amazing. And little known fact, the gal who sings on this record, whose name escapes me at the moment, of
Dawn.
course it does.
Is it Dawn?
Dawn, yes. So there was a Recess Records compilation, had FYP on it, had Dick Army
It
on
was
it,
called
had
Workers' Comp.
Workers' Comp, had Furious George on it, No Fraud, which the drummer of No Fraud was Walt Rossman, owner of Imprint Indie Printing. Had JFA on it, had Dillinger 4 on it. I mean, really an amazing comp, and it was a compilation to raise money for Dawn's medical needs as she was walking home in New York one day and someone tried to mug her and stabbed her in the eye.
Oh.
And all of this was before Four Deadly Questions,
Mm.
and so again, Recess Records, amazing record label. If they did not exist, we probably would not exist. And much love to Todd C, who runs it over there, for doing that workers' comp to raise that money, and then ultimately introducing us to Four Deadly Questions. So, without further ado, let's get to Gotta Let It Go. And again, for those of you keeping count, yes, the Bandcamp only has 3 digital songs. So if you want to listen to all 4, you're just going to have to buy the record, which we still have in stock.
The other one's called Plan B.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Plan B is not on the digital. And you want to know why?
Why? Yes. Why?
Should I divulge this information, or is this incriminating?
No, no. It's trivia. I love trivia.
Trivia, yes. Okay, ready? So I have these 7 inches still for sale, and I really want to get them into good homes. And in order to do so, I thought, you know what? I don't have this up on Bandcamp, so let's put it up on Bandcamp. And this was, I think, in 2024, 2025. Man, I looked everywhere. My CD backups, my hard drives. At the time, I believe Matt sent me a CDR.
Yeah.
Of all the songs. And I don't know where the CD is. I don't know my iTunes on my computer, my Windows Media Player. Like, I could only find these 3 tracks. I hit up Matt Braun and I said, "Hey, Matt, like, if you can find Plan B, like, I'd love to get it up on this Bandcamp thing." And he was like, "Dude, it's on a hard drive somewhere." Needless to say, we both looked and both gave
Yeah.
up. So sorry,
It's
gang.
probably
You
titled
want it digitally?
Untitled Track 2.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
But yeah, so that's why there's only 3 songs on Bandcamp. Sorry about that, guys, but literally that was, we were going from an era where everything was analog, and bands recorded reel to reel, and
Wow.
all this stuff. If someone wanted to hear your thing, they had to buy the CD, they had to buy the vinyl,
Yeah.
right? There was no iTunes, Spotify, and so then there was the digital. Everyone started recording onto Cubase and Pro Tools, and releasing things digitally. So in that transition period, I had about 3 moves, one across state lines, and I don't know where that original demo CD is, so I'm sorry.
Oh, man.
There's no Dropbox of it, nothing. Doesn't even exist. So if you want to hear Plan B, you got to get the record, and I highly recommend you do.
Got it.
So in the meantime, second track we're gonna finish up the episode with is "Gotta Let It Go," and this, I mean, I know it's the top of side B, but man, this song just gets your blood moving.
Yep.
So without further ado, 4 Deadly Questions, "Gotta Let It Go."
All right. That was Gotta Let It Go. That's actually track 2, side B, track 2.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
So
I gotta ask, before 4 Deadly Questions, it was members of Dick Army and Booksly.
yes, good research. Look at you. Although I think you do that,
Yeah.
right? You go down the little.
I love doing that kind of stuff.
That's awesome. No, and that's why you're perfect to co-host this show. No, good. That's amazing research right there. There's not a lot of connections, kind of connecting all these bands, but yeah, Matt, again, great guy. Dick Army, as far as GC, they did, like I said, they were on that workers' comp, but also gave us a really awesome live video when we hit 10 year anniversary on GC Records. every anniversary we do something special, and
Yes.
for the 10-year anniversary we put out a DVD
Mm.
zine, which was kind of built to feel like those old 90s skate videos, where
Yeah.
it's like skating and then a weird commercial that costs $5 to put on, and then a music video and then skating. It was kind of like one of those hodgepodge
Yeah.
kind of situations. And Dick Armey gave us a music video for that, which was awesome. And I don't have, I can't say the nicest thing about Matt. Dick Armey was his brainchild. Four Deadly Questions for the most part. Um, and it's really, when I listen back to these with you on the podcast, like I kind of reminisce and kind of remember how really amazing these bands really were at the time. But also, I mean, you listen to Four Deadly Questions, I mean, just the two tracks we listened
Yeah.
to, the energy there, that's like so fresh
Yeah.
today still.
And I think of like bands back then. I'm sure. I mean, a lot of them still do, but like getting together, having a practice in the same room. Like nowadays, you can do it across states, postal service style. But like, okay, let's get together and jam out this one idea this person has. Let's work it out. Oh, by the way, we still got to pay for rehearsal time. Can everybody chip in? Things like that. I mean, I've heard bands um, just getting to rehearsal can be a challenge. Like, I heard this one band, one of the members ran out of gas on his way to rehearsal, and
Oh,
they chipped in, and then he got to like, oh my goodness,
got him there.
that's commitment, and that's oh wow, it's like it's crazy. But like, yeah, I think of that stuff like just back
Yeah,
then.
and then
You know,
and not just smaller bands either. You look at bands like Epitaph; they all live in different states. Like they rehearse
yeah,
separately, and then getting close, a couple days before a tour or
yeah,
something. Now they're finally together in the same
yeah,
room.
yeah. Wow.
So
So yeah, I think of that.
uh,
And any like parts like the logo here is different than what it is today. Like any background stuff on that?
there is background stuff on that. So the very first graphic designer, I would say, that the record label had was a gentleman by the name of Jeff Streed. And I met him in high school, and he was also in the band ESL. He
Nice.
played bass. And so, yeah, so those first few albums, the graphic design, the logo, like all of these things, it was 99% Jeff Streed.
Nice.
Again, for X Fork, I got Rich from one of the other bands, Rich Wilson, to do it. So he wasn't like the only graphic
Sure.
designer that worked on stuff, but he made that logo that's on the back of that 7-inch right there. It was kind of like a baseball star, almost like some kind of logo you'd have on like a baseball cap kind of thing.
Nice.
And then there was a period where there was an explosion. Like we ended up reaching out to people all over the world who created artwork based on the label, but also logo designs and just like the whole thing, to the point where at one point we had like 40 different logos,
Nice.
just like different
Yeah.
flavors.
Awesome.
And at that time, then, my brother was like, man, for brand consistency, like you just need to just choose something and stick with it.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, but that's not what we're about. Like, it's anarchy, man. But then I was like, okay, yeah, that's true. So then we connected with an artist out of London named his art moniker is Delme, Delme. Amazing graphic designer from England who also does a lot of subversive art and like almost it's kind of like Warhol but very cartoony kind of thing, and he does these like cartoon dinosaurs. And so I basically got him to do a severed Mickey Mouse hand.
Oh, that's what it is. Yeah.
That's what it is.
Wow.
It's the severed, white glove,
And it's smooth at the
he's
top.
Still,
Yeah.
he's still like doing
Oh,
the,
okay.
the devil's horns. It was blood dripping down it, and the little bone at the bottom.
Nice.
That was interesting too. So a few years ago, we made enamel pins of that Delmi logo, which is, long story short, the logo that we adopted at that point and have to this
Nice.
day.
Nice.
And so we did enamel pins, but at the bottom of Delmi's design, there's a bone that pops out, and then two little blood drips, like, they're just kind of to the side. And I had to reject the mock-up for the prototype because it just looked like balls.
Oh.
Like, I was like
Like
okay,
a
'cause you can't
Balchinian?
just have there's no such thing as a floating piece like the enamel pin. Everything has to be connected, And so I was like, no, that looks like cock and balls. Like, nope, no. So for the enamel pin, if any of you out there have one, it is Delmi's logo
Yeah.
without the two blood
Oh,
drips.
okay.
Oh
man.
So yeah, so good catch on that. That was the Jeff Streed star logo. But I can't remember exactly. Maybe, you know what?
Yeah.
We're doing this podcast, right? So let's see if we can pinpoint exactly which release we flipped to the Delmi one. It's not anytime soon.
No.
Tell you that
Still
much,
early.
because after this we go to a Richard Vang original, and Richard Vang did this beautiful, almost like Mike Mignola style, like heavy on the shadows kind of thing, of this monk. But instead of a monk being in like a meditative state, he's in midair, jumping and strumming on his electric guitar, kind of thing.
Oh yes, I know what
that,
you're talking about. Yeah.
that comes after the star.
Nice.
For a few before we get to that. So yeah, there, as far as like logos on releases, we didn't have 40. There was a lot of different artists that jumped up and kind of gave us stuff, and but yeah, eventually we landed on a severed Mickey Mouse head.
Yeah.
I mean, not Mickey Mouse. Sorry, Disney. I mean, just a 1920s.
Horns up.
But yeah. Well, cool. Well, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah.
Onofre, always a pleasure.
What's the next release?
Like I said, the next release is an album called Passport, file under experimental. And Passport was essentially, I had been in a band, left the band, and I kind of wanted to do a solo project. And so I had sort of sunset Kill the Scientist at this point. So Four Deadly Questions EP came out July 2004. In May 2005, this Passport album came out. Needless to say, what had happened in 2004, 2005? What happened in 2004? We had our first baby.
Oh.
And so GC Records releases slowed down a little. We were becoming parents. And so I kind of went inward and made this experimental album, jumping off what I had done with Kill the Scientist, a precursor to the stuff I would do later on New Oddities. So it's going to be weird, you guys. This next episode's going to be weird. And then after that, in June of 2005, we released the This Just In compilation with the absolutely gorgeous, beautiful cover artwork by Becky Cloonan, who was just doing poster art for bands at the time, and who now is like a huge part of the comic book world.
Nice.
She's huge in DC. I mean, when I say huge, I mean she's up there on the totem pole.
Yeah.
Like, she's writing stories, making decisions, doing art, doing covers. I mean, multiple Eisner Award winning Becky Cloonan did the artwork of this one.
Nice.
So I think we might have one or two left in our catalog. So listen, if you are a Becky Cloonan fan, just pick it up, because otherwise this thing's going to sell out pretty soon. Anyway, we'll find out about that 2 episodes from now. Next episode, Passport, file under experimental. Thanks again for catching this episode of Record Revolutions. Onofre.
All right.
Catch you later.
Catch you later.